Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite dark sorcerer here, Michael Hyson, aka Angelus, son of Abaddon. And tonight, I'd like to kind of give you an update upon my studies of the Mazajera Cabal. As most of you know, I've been studying necromancy full time, professionally, for the better part as of June of this year, about a year and a half now. Okay, and this is from the Mazajera Cabal system. Okay, now I used to study necromancy a little over 10 years ago. Just about 10 years, maybe a little bit more, I should say. But I never really delved into it on a full time basis until last year. Now, last year, I got my hands on The Left Hand Path. Now, I read this book, and it took me a while to get through this book because of the names, because of what it entailed language-wise. And for some reason, I just could not relate to it at that time. And I ended up getting my hands on other books, such as Shall Now Whispers, the book Profane Seals, the Eye of the Oracle, the Black Scriptures, and such. And before long, I ended up with all of the books by Sumnus Redwood, okay, who I might add is the former Ascended Grand Master of the Cabal. Um, but what's interesting is I've really torn these books apart. I've broken them down from the towers, created a grimoire for myself, studied the towers really, really intensely, got into rituals and working with the independent servitors, not just the Blighton Lords themselves. I found myself attracted to at least 5 or 6 different towers that had something in common with each other with what I've been practicing for about 30 years. Anything from black magic to shadowmancy to curses and hexes and witchcraft and a lot of other things. But I always thought that you had to choose one tower. And then I talked to an individual, and he said it's okay to practice more than one or to study more than one. So I ended up going through it and broke it down into about 4 towers. I went from like 6 towers to down to 4. Gradually, I ended up breaking it down to 2 different towers. And then I started, for some reason, while I was working with and making blood pacts and deals with, and really getting to know and getting dedicated and committed to these beings, I started working with Zazazel, and I started working with the Witches of the Depths, the Sadi, the Draconic, Zashira, the Vile Witch, and I did the dedication of the disciple and created an item of protection, and then I started working, as I was getting into the servitors and all these other beings. Eventually, that led me into researching these beings. And like I said in past videos, I mean, the research into the Dralith, the Sadi, all these beings was mind-blowing, through folklore and and Fae mythology from the old world between Russia, Ukraine, and Germany, up into Scotland, all the way over into Ireland, and with a little portion of it into France and Europe, European traditions. The commonalities and the connections really blew my mind, and eventually I found myself into Russian witchcraft. And I found a few good books on that, and I started getting into the beings of death around that same time. That was about 6 months into my study of the Cabal system. Now, what's interesting and ironic here is that for some reason, every time I try to go into other regions, I always end up back in Russian and German traditions. I don't know what it is about that region that's got me fascinated. Every being that I relate to or that catches my attention seems to be from that region. You got Baba Yaga, you got the Draconic, you got the different names of practitioners, the witches, the shamans, the necromancers, stuff like that, that really go into the old world, and going all the way back to around the 6th century BE. So I mean, it's really fascinating to see the traditions of the old world compared to what they are today. Today's is so watered down and corrupted that when you get into the old ways, it's you just don't go back to the new. You really don't go back to the new. It's just the way it is. So I started delving into other areas, and before long, I ended up getting in touch with the Black God and studying the Black God of the Mazajira Chernobog. Okay, and I found him in the Slavic and Russian literature, the old practices of the Black God, the Dark God, the evil and baneful God, and the Lord of Magic, if you wish. And what's in packs, and it was again, like I said, right back into Russian. And it left me sitting there, and I was like, what the hell? What is it about Russia that has me so in tuned into their witchcraft and practices of sorcery? Is there something that I'm missing, or is it something that I'm supposed to see and learn here? And before long, I ended up digging into necromancy. A friend of mine, a brother, got in touch with me, asked me to do an essay for him, and I did that for his book. Since then, I've done about another essay and have begun doing a third, because I've decided to do a book on my own, utilizing the first one, second, and I'm not sure how many essays I'm going to do, but it's there. But anyways, and then I went from Chernobog into ADNA on. Okay, that's ADNAAN. Okay, it's spelling. Now, to keep in mind, Chernobog is spelled with an H. Okay, CHERNOBOG. Okay, um, it's a little bit off from what the Mazajira Cabal system goes by, which is all right. I mean, it is. I mean, everybody has their own spelling and their own way of pronouncing and such. So, I mean, it is one of those things that just was interesting to me. So, Adna Ann, it led me into Adna Ann, who is the teacher. Okay, so I ended up getting into. I drew his seal, and I started work with him. I ended up putting up a whole bunch of seals and sigils and stuff around my inner temple, my inner sanctum, and around this time was about 7, 8 months into my practices of the Mazajira Cabal system. No, scratch that. It was closer to 9 months, I should say. It was about 9 months. And I ended up watching 3 videos because at the time I was having a lot of attacks coming my way. A lot of things were felt like the world was just crunching down on me, and I ended up getting a brother of mine directed me to some of Stredwood's spiritual warfare videos, and I ended up delving into them, and since then they've been taken down, but um I not before I ended up taking down notes and stuff like that and kind of just did my own notes of them. And it was interesting because a lot of what I was feeling back then really, you know, spoke to what I was going through, what my family was going through. So I ended up putting up these seals, these wardings, and reversals, and all, like I said, all these seals and sigils and of everything from cloaking to protection to reversals, you name it. I ended up slapping it up there, and it took me a while to get them to find the ones that work, but at least from my inner temple, so I ended up finding the ones that worked, and I ended up putting them and sending them to a couple brothers and a sister of mine that really were going through a hardship of their own. And my sister, she ended up, when she put them up in the way I told her to, less than an hour she ended up in hospital, in hot dispute. She had basically been ganged up on by personnel of the hospital where her husband was staying at the time. Security was there, the doctors, the lawyers, you name it, was all there in under an hour. And then everything just went to hell. They backed down, they went their own way. And it was just the same thing with me, and my family. All the opposition just vanished like almost instantly, like overnight. My brother did one about a year or two late ago, and his own patron from demonolatry disappeared. Just took off like somebody lit a fire under his ass. Which that alone was, quite frankly, hilarious to hear. I mean, but at the same time, it kind of makes you wonder why, you know. So, anyways, here I am. I started working with ADNA, the teacher, and invoking him, you know, invoking and evoking him, trying different things, and all of a sudden, I had this urge to delve into necromancy on a full time basis. I mean, I'm talking completely dedicating my life to him. And this was about, at the time, it was more of the fact that I wanted to study this full time. So I started tearing down the books. I started tearing down, putting things in order, who's who, where they're ranked, stuff like that. And yet there was still a few individuals that were around that were really attacking me still. And I didn't understand why. I've never done anything to these individuals. I've never been disrespectful. In fact, I've always let them choose their own way. If you want to separate from what I'm doing, well, guess what? That's your choice. You know what I'm saying? It's your choice, not mine. You know, but I'm not going to hold it against you. So I mean, and then up about until about a couple of months ago, I've really immersed myself into this stuff, gone into necromancy from various different traditions, from divination to practice to working with the deitas themselves, not just the servitors, but also working with these beings on, one-on-one type thing at a time. And Then about 2 months ago, I had I guess you could say it was more of a epiphany. I was basically done dealing with people on social media. It was like nobody was taking the arts seriously. Nobody wanted to take the arts seriously, but at the same time, I had a lot of things going on. And so I publicly announced that my life and my career was now focused solely on the Mazajira Cabal system. Now, keep in mind that demonolatry also is a part of the Mazajira Cabal system. You deal with angels, you're dealing with demons, you're dealing with even Asmodee and a few others, okay, which are also associated with the Mazajira Cabal system, okay, and it's ironic to see because you don't expect that, especially with all the names and the spellings and the pronunciations of the Blight Lords and the Servitors, and then all of a sudden here you have Asmodee. You know, so I mean, it kind of just blows your mind. But anyways, so I haven't heard. I had a couple of people suddenly just out of the blue after that point just start. I had one person tag me in a post, and it turns out he was trying to help the investigation. I had another individual. I haven't talked to this guy in over a year now, just about over a year, maybe a year and a half. I don't know. It's someplace around that part, in between that stage. All I know is it's been a hell of a long fucking time. And all of a sudden he's coming at me through the Massagera, and of course I had a master of the towers come to me, and it's like this is news to me. I've been keeping so much to myself and just doing my own thing, not really worried about what's going on out there in the world. You know, And it turns out that this other individual has been attacking me just about every single day, if not every other day, on Instagram and Facebook. And it's just because I dedicated myself to the Mazajira Cabal system and I just basically ignored it. I just, for 2 months, the guy said he wants to separate, and it's like, fine, go your own way. So, I mean, I thought everything was done and said there. Well, not so. So now you got these two of these individuals still around today. Except for now, the stories are getting more ridiculous. So apparently, I've gone from doing my own thing and studying and practicing the arts and teaching the arts to actual, cursing people, stalking them, harassing them, threatening them. Yeah, whatever. I don't do that stuff, nor do I waste my time on that shit. You know, if people were actually practitioners, they would know that it is better just to block somebody and just go your own way. You know, somebody pisses you off. Who cares about throwing a fucking curse? Who cares about, hexcraft in that case? If you're going to throw a curse or a hex, it would have to be something very, very dire, you know, like life and death situation to where you would have to be forced to curse somebody or to hex them. You know what I'm saying? But you don't go around cursing people for shits and giggles. Okay. And when you have other people sitting there telling you that we don't do this stuff, that the Mazajira don't do this stuff, and even the new EAGM is telling you point blank, me and the Mazajira don't do this shit. Okay? That's normally a heads up. Hello, open your fucking eyes and listen. Learn. But no. So, day before yesterday, I ended up getting contacted by several people who are sharing things with me about these two individuals. Well, personally, as I told them, this is when I did the last video and I posted that one time on Ed Morrow. I meant what I said. Done. Don't keep hitting me up on this shit. I don't fucking care. Okay? I don't care what he's saying. I don't care what he's doing. It doesn't bother me. All right? So, again, I'm making that perfectly clear here. Okay? And it's the same thing with VK. Okay? I don't give a shit what he's doing. He's his own man. Oh, wait. My bad. How's he always announce himself? All right, it's your girl, VK. Okay? So, he's his own girl. I'm just leaving it like that. Okay? I don't give a shit what these two do. So, anyways, after I posted this thing, it was kind of funny because I started hitting the books again. I've been spending a lot of time meditating, a lot of time doing rituals, researching and studying these beings from the Mazajira. And then all of a sudden, it was like a light bulb just went off. I've had a couple more experienced individuals guiding me, teaching me, and kind of giving me some hints of directions and things that I could do. And it's kind of interesting because all of a sudden it was just like this light bulb went off in my head, and it was like, damn, you know. And I'm thinking back over the last year and a quarter to, you know, when I first got into necromancy again through the Mazajira. And I started thinking about this because of how quickly it happened. Not only the beings that I went to, but the people I associated myself with. It happened that quick. Even when my boss had his heart attack and had a triple bypass, within a single month, so many people just either put their 2 weeks in, walked out, was terminated, all within a month. And it was like, and then I've got two individuals, that I talked to and said, if you need somebody to step up as a manager, look at me. I've got a background in management. You know, I understand I got to be trained in your ways, but still, I'm willing. And it's like, okay, we'll keep you in mind, but we got somebody right now. Bam, left it at that. And then I ended up becoming a closer for about 3 shifts. And even now, if I'm the elder there outside of the team lead, I'm the one that's there to watch over things while the team lead's on break. But still, I mean, it's ironic how it all falls into play. And this is just through Zazazel and these beings that I've been working with, not just Schoenberg and ADNA, the witches of the the depths, the Zashira, the draconic, the Sadi, you know, or Schoenberg, the dark god, the black god. But then, like I said, all of a sudden it was like this light bulb. I was reading Chanel Whispers for like the fifth time, like the third time. Okay, and this is actually my third time reading this book, and I'm going through the denizens of Caractes, all the spirits, and I got to this one. I got to this one spirit. Okay, just one spirit, spelled Irchabae, Ikerbe or Ikerba. Okay, and this is what got me thinking. Okay, because of the fact that I look over the last year. how quickly it happened. He is the quickener, okay? The quickener. He guides necromancers or would-be necromancers. He is the he is the tempter for those who wish to get into necromancy and to delve further into the mysteries. He does all this stuff, okay? To see to see where to see where things were and where things are today. Okay. This is something that is amazing. So I went to these elders, a couple of the elders, and I just said, "Hey, you know, I can't believe this has happened. This one being has been in the background, okay, throughout all of this." And it's funny because of the fact that one of them says, "Wait until you get to the fourth and fifth times and see how many light bulbs come on then." Another one sat there and gave me a couple other things to try out. So I ended up doing research into this spirit. Okay. I did my research into the spirit. I drew out the seal. And then on top of that, I did what this other guy suggested. And I went into the left-hand path. And I know I've only read it once because at the time I could not get into it. So I ended up going back into that, and here I am sitting there going back and forth between Shall Now Whispers and the Left Hand Path, okay, book. And it's very intriguing because I found this invocation to the buried king, okay, and this is what actually he was guiding me to, okay, and to call on this one spirit, you go through the invocation to the buried king, and you're basically calling upon Vor Veshnar, or I believe that's how you pronounce the name. Okay, of the spirit that goes directly with Zazazel and the invocation to the buried king. So, from what I understand, you work with this thing here in unison with this spirit. You know, um, Irsha Bay or Irsha. I'm guessing Irsha Ika B. I call it Ickaby because it's IRCHABAE. Okay, so it's very very enlightening to see you know how all of this is coming down. You know, and I look forward to seeing where they lead me from here on out. Because not only am I rereading these books, and not only am I preparing my inner sanctum in my body for these rites, but I'm also learning quite a bit. And I can't wait to delve into the rite of the lick, um, the awakening of the necromancer, all of these rites, and just delve right in to physically begin the journey professionally underneath an experienced scholar in this area from the cabal. So I mean, it is something that is exciting, but at the same time it's fascinating. The things that I've learned so far, the amount of knowledge that I've gathered from folklore and mythology, not just in the medical in herbalistic and alchemical, fashion. But the old folk tales, the old wives' tales, like Baba Yaga, working with the revenants, the reavers, the banshee, working with all these agents of death, learning the different powders and like the red brick powder, the zombie powder, you know, um, sulfur powder, and so many others. I mean, it's just mind blowing. I've been going through every religion, every philosophy that I've studied and practiced and been initiated into. And and what I found interesting is that, and this is something I do want to stress a lot, is there are going to be cross references. Okay, there's going to be things that are similar to these other systems, and this is actually truth. Okay, because of the fact that I've seen it firsthand. Not only was I told about it, but to see it firsthand through my own personal study of these myths and these legends and this incredible root working. Okay, I just can't wait until the next time. All right. So for now, have a good day and or night, depending on where you are in the world. I will keep you updated on everything, and I am going to be getting into some new rituals and stuff coming up in the next day or so. So perhaps I'll even do a video on it. I don't know. Okay, but for now, keep up your. I want to say keep up your studies, your practices, your own personal studies. Not take everything face value. Make sure to keep up a journal, a grimoire of your practices, stuff like that, and just keep searching, keep researching, and delving into the myths and legends, not only of mythology but historically speaking. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and go to places where others fear to tread. Okay. So, with that said, have a good night, and until next time, the sorcerer is out.